Ray Liotta's last movie is Cocaine Bear, the story of a bear that eats a ton of cocaine and goes on a killing spree. Amazingly, it's based on a true story, but only barely. The real story is way, way better. There's going to be a few puns. You'll just have to grin and bear it. It's time to snort out the facts from the fiction. It's a bear-raising story. Ready, Teddy, go! Here's the bit the movie gets right. It's Friday, 22nd December 1985.
Millions of dollars worth of cocaine fell from the sky this morning in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And a black bear stumbles upon a bag of cocaine in the Chattahoochee National Forest in Georgia, USA. It was dropped from a bearoplane. The bear did indeed eat the cocaine. I don't mean to be sniffy, but that's pretty much the only thing the movie gets right. There was no comedy horror killing spree. When the bear was found, it was dead. Very dead. Next to the black beast that had ceased to be was an empty duffel bag that had been stuffed with cocaine. Nearby, police found 40 ripped empty parcels of nose candy. The real Pablo Escobar weighed 175 pounds, around 80 kilos or 13 stone. That's a lot of bear. Inside the bear's stomach, they found more Bolivian marching powder than even a bear could bear. Cocaine Bear had overdosed on around $15 million worth of the stuff. According to Dr. Ked Alonso of the Georgia State Crime Lab, Cocaine Bear died of a brain hemorrhage, lung failure, hypothermia, renal failure, heart failure, and an enormous stroke. How did all that cocaine end up in a forest in the middle of nowhere? Who was dealing Snow White to a grizzly bear? Andrew C. Thornton II. He was the son of a wealthy Kentucky horse breeder. He played polo. He was a qualified pilot. He was trained to bear arms as a paratrooper at Fort Bragg for the 82nd Airborne Division. In 1965, he won a Purple Heart. He was a hero. He was an adrenaline junkie. In 1968, he joined the Lexington Police. Which department? You'll barely believe it. He worked in narcotics. He was bored and he took night classes in law. In 1977, he was a practicing lawyer in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm a lawyer. I love it, but it is boring. Andrew Thornton II agreed. He didn't pause. He found fun things to do. He became a criminal. He ran a drug smuggling ring in Kentucky called The Company. In 1981, he was charged with stealing guns from a naval base in California and for smuggling half a ton of cannabis in a bearoplane. He went on the run for 3 months, but was caught. 3 days before his trial, he was shot in the chest as he left a restaurant. But he was fine. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. At the time, the police thought he'd staged the shooting to persuade the court his life would be in danger in prison. It worked too. The federal charges were dropped. He pleaded guilty and only got a small fine and just 6 months in custody. On the 11th of September 1985, he was flying a Cessna 404 light aircraft. On board, he had 10 duffel bags of Colombian cocaine. The engine failed. He put the plane on autopilot, strapped on a parachute, and jumped. He was only 40 years old. He was flying high. Something went wrong. His parachute failed. It failed to open, probably because he was too heavy, jumping with one of those duffel bags containing 35 kilos of happy powder strapped to his chest. He was a flake. His parachute failed to open properly. He got tangled up in it. He hit his head on the tail of the plane and fell to his death. The devil's dandruff drug dealer was now himself a California pancake. His body was found by Fred Myers on the driveway of his house in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thornton was wearing night vision goggles, a bulletproof vest, and a pair of Gucci loafers. You know, the bare essentials. In his pockets, he had $4,500 in cash, 2 guns, a knife, the key to a Cessna 404 airplane, and a duffel bag stuffed full of Colombian disco dust. The Cessna crashed a few hours later, 60 miles away in the North Carolina mountains. Inside the plane were another 8 duffel bags filled with around $135 million worth of cocaine. That's bear cocaine. Cocaine Bear and the 10th duffel bag were found 3 months later by an anonymous hunter. For no apparent reason, the party animal was stuffed by Ken Alonzo, the medical examiner, and put on display at the visitor centre at the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Centre. Then, in the early 1990s, there was a wildfire and everyone was evacuated, taking only the bare essentials. Cocaine Bear was put in storage, but went missing mysteriously. Cocaine Bear had been stolen in a barefaced burglary. What happened next was barely legal. The bare naked carcass ended up in a Nashville pawn shop where it was bought by country music star Waylon Jennings. I'm not making this up. Waylon thought it would be a great present for a mate of his called Ron Thompson. I mean, who wouldn't want an 8-foot taxidermied ursine specimen in their Las Vegas living room? When Ron died in 2009, Cocaine Bear was bought by a guy called Zhu Tang for $200. He wanted to put it in his living room too, but his wife said no, so he put the bear on display in his Chinese medicine shop in Reno, Nevada. According to his wife, he loved that bear, but when he died in 2012, his wife wanted to get rid. I guess she couldn't bear it. And that is where the story should have ended. But clothing brand Kentucky for Kentucky thought the bear could be a retail marketing bonanza. They went on a bear hunt. They weren't scared. They tracked down our big brown cuddly bear and took it off a very relieved Mrs. Tang, who could barely believe her luck, and gave it to them for free. Kentucky for Kentucky have had Cocaine Bear ever since. They've made him legend. They dress him up for holidays. He's been the Easter Bunny Bear and, of course, the Christmas Santa Claus. They sell super soft tri-blended t-shirts, hats, hoodies, socks, cards, mugs, badges, magnets, stickers, and of course, blow globes. In the cafe, they sell blueberry pie. He's on display right now at the Kentucky Farm Mall, 720 Bryan Avenue, Lexington, Kentucky, open from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. People travel from all over the world to see him and say hi. I'm Matt Fresco. We didn't use real cocaine making this video, so please don't do drugs, but do subscribe. What do you think? Okay, that's it. That was okay. It was in my eyes. I can't see. I can't breathe. It was horrible. Don't do drugs.
There's so much in your head.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Lovely. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Told you it'd be quick.